Sai Ram, it's 5 p.m. Let's start the study circle with 3 ohms. Oh. 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 Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavatha Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Just a little reminder to mute your cell phone and let's be respectful and speak from the heart. Listen with humility and be present during our discussion. So with that, I did not get the chance to complete the review from Thursday. We did have a study circle session on Thursday where we discussed Swami's quote on humanness, actually, and then we talked about universal love and divine love and what it means. We actually concluded the session with a potent message from Brother Sundar Iyer, where he was talking about his experience on what Swami really is looking for from each one of us, and how at a human moment, he really expressed his concern, or maybe in a way just telling us or talking to himself on how we are filled with desires or yearning for everything else except for what he wants to give us. Why he has come here to give. So, or what he has come here to give us. Yeah, to show gratitude is what he wanted. He always said, and that was the message from Brother Sundar's little snippet of a video where he talked about none of Swami's letters, just saying thank you and nothing more. So with that, I thought again we did not complete the reflection practice. So I just thought this is something that we should reflect upon. So if anyone has anything to add right now, and then as a practice, what is it, one insight that you can take from here? Yes.
Saidam, yeah, we have listened to that one earlier also. See, the thing is, Swami doesn't expect that thank you. That is not the thing. What he was saying is, what he was trying to say is, nobody is contented with what they are having. So it's not thanking Swami for it. It's being happy with whatever we have. Instead of feeling happy with what we have, we always want this, want that, want this, want that. And then we pray to Swami and then say, I want this. Please help me. Please, I pray to you for blessing me. We are not at all contented with what we have. That is what Swami means. It doesn't mean that Swami is expecting to be thanked for everything. It's just be contented with what we have. That's what.
That's a good point, Sai Ram. Yes, absolutely. But with that, we have to reflect, at what point. I know we talked a lot about sealing of desires, whatever. We don't have to seal anything. At least, be content. Is there one part in your life that you can be content? One insight for you that you can kind of make a small change in action that will reflect the Sai in you, basically, where we can, you can associate with it. So again, this is a self-reflection. If anyone is willing to share, this would be great. Just because it's something that I think each one of us should carry. And once you speak, you kind of commit in your mind, I think that is what is important.
Sarah, when it comes to saying thank you, as Venkaji said, like it's when you start saying thank you, then we should start saying thank you, not just for God, even to the nature around us, like everything, even to sun, even to everything, like whatever it is giving
everything
us.
Is divine.
Yeah, that's what See, not just like in the form of the Swami or something like this. When you realize that thing, then everything that you should say thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is not an expectation of a thank you or something like that. It is all about like you understanding how you need to be. So that is where like otherwise you end up in half of your time to say thank you only to everything. So
So saying thank you is one thing, feeling it is
feeling, yeah, you should have. If you don't have the feeling of that thing, then what you say is also doesn't matter.
right.
So it
Exactly.
is feeling it has to reflect it. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So
Sairam, being content means what? Like people can be content once they have enough, money.
how much is enough?
Yes. No, I can have a lot of saris. I can say, oh, I don't want any more. Or I have food, 2 fridges full of food. Then I can say, okay, I don't. See, like that, people have surplus. It's so easy to say, I am very content in my life, right? I don't need.
Content in what is the minimal need, kind of.
Right.
Not like, okay, if you have a bigger goal and try to say that, okay, I am content on that until I reach that thing, but not like that. What is the minimal thing what is needed?
Right. So this is just an attitude for us to develop. It's not related to material things. We can never have enough of material stuff in our life, right? So that is the problem. So how do we develop that attitude? Be happy with what you have, but the happiness, internal happiness, not from outside material stuff.
Yeah. So that's not going. That is not going to last. You can't fake it for long.
No, but it has to be a everyday practice for us. See, being grateful. Okay, we think we have to be very grateful only when some good things we pray, it happens. And then we run to Swami, say, thank you so much that you made this happen. Do we have the same attitude when things don't go in our way also? Then see that it is also good for me.
Right.
Thank you, Swami. That kind of this is an attitude we have to develop. This is a practice, is a sadhana. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know our Sai Prashant also mentioned that how he is practicing that now. So I just wanted to say that I know he's been kind enough to share his reflection. I'm just saying each one of us can work on that and take that. That is our take home, practice on a daily basis. That's what I think. Yeah. Sure, Saira.
I mean, to be thankful is it's more important, whatever happens, even when things don't go in the way we want it, in a negative way, or, it's not making you feel good. That is the time we have to be thankful. Thank you for making me learn something from here, or even, or giving me the enough courage to handle the situation like this. So, even though those are the times I really feel that we have to really show the gratitude.
Yeah, and that is a tough time to show gratitude, but that's why practice is important.
It is. So I will share one thing. Remember a couple of years ago, I talked about I got into an accident and nothing happened, everything. So we both were okay. I was praying and all that. That lady was screaming, but she was okay with her child. So fast forward 2 years, almost 2 years. Then she sued me. Yeah. So I was so grateful to Swami. I was saying, before the accident, are you with me? And then I thought, oh, Swami was with me. That's why nothing happened, all that. So thanked Swami enough. And then this happened. Then I was, what? After going home, after bhajan, next day, the policeman comes and I forgot about it. And then, what is this? This is like a 5-digit number she wants. And there is no camera in the intersection. There is no witness, nothing. Clearly, she was making a left when I had the right of way. But there is like, she says, I say. She says like that situation. So what do you do at this point? I went to Swami, you got me out of that. Now what is this? And it was kind of upsetting. But then I was talking to Swami. I said, okay, there must be some lesson here for me to learn. I don't know what it is you are teaching me. Okay. And you proved that you are with me that day, and you are going to prove that you are with me even now and get me through this. It is up to you. That's all I said. And I was grateful that still I was grateful. And then lawyer and all, I talked to my son and he said, don't even say you were praying for her. It doesn't work, in the court of law. The court. He said, it doesn't amount to anything. Oh yeah, maybe in real world, it doesn't amount to anything. When you say, I don't know, when you say, I was praying for her, okay, so what? You give me money and then pray. That's what she will say. So anyway, long story short, I was praying Swami and then it bothered. Now and then it will pop up and it's almost 2 years. And after 2 years, she cannot sue. So the lawyer said, even the last date, they can file a complaint. So it was going on. And then finally, all said and done, and the case was dismissed. So I didn't have to go to the court. Yeah, didn't have to pay the 5-digit number. What I'm saying is being grateful. Always have the grateful attitude. And Swami is our refuge. Whatever happens, even if the accident happens, okay, he saved us. Even the case is coming, okay, there is something that he wants me to learn from this. Those are the things, those are the attitude, those are the sadhana that we have to develop, So everything is okay now. But then these things come up and down, these things come. How do we take it in
Right.
life?
Exactly.
Sairam, just want to give a heads up. This is the second case I heard. The same thing happened with me. So if anybody gets involved in an accident, please watch and you can keep a tag on the accident date, because there is a rule that they can file a case just before 2 years exactly. So they will wait. What they say, they are framing the case against you. In these 2 years, they build up all that. They go to doctor, they guess the bills, all that. So they'll, make up the case to sue you. So if anybody, please keep a tag on that one. Please be watchful. Just
On the same thing, there is a side note too. If there is a kid in that car,
Yeah.
it can be, even at the time the kid turns 16, up to the time, they can still sue you. So it is the 2-year limitation does not apply for a kid.
Yeah. Who knows? Okay. So
Lack of information, all those things.
Yeah,
We are on knowledge.
yeah, whatever happens, but the point is that whatever happens, it is something that we have to always go back and be grateful for that experience also. It's not always the best. Yeah.
I see that like if you are pure, that will shine. Even if you have dirt, sometime like it will come and shine. Like so, that's why we have to be pure all the time. So
Doesn't mean you won't have
dirt gets
hurdles.
cleaned.
Yeah.
no, the dirt gets cleaned.
Yeah.
See,
you
at any
mean,
point
okay.
of time, it gets cleaned. So you should be pure.
No, just this one. So it all tells that we have to be extremely careful while driving. not get involved in any accident.
It's not in our hands. Like
Yeah,
we never
that
know.
is
Like what
not
is
something.
I know, but yeah.
That's why it's called an accident, but whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, my point is that each one of us, I think that is the take home. What is that reflection for you? Has there been an instance? So for some professions, I think it's much easier to observe the change right away. When you're dealing with like for Shobha or someone who is dealing with people every day, you can see that. Saujanya is here too. Okay, great. So yeah, because they're physicians, they have that interaction and they have that, I guess, the opportunity to actually correct themselves time and again. Whereas people like me who don't really always interact, I only interact at a social level. Even at work, it's more socially versus doing or helping someone in some particular way. But my point is that reflection on that small action, and I think it always helps to journal it. If you can journal that, hey, I did one good thing today, and that good thing is, and if we can fill up that sentence every day, I think it gives you one good thing to feel good about and also be grateful for. So that's something that I wanted to actually put out here. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely not undermine anything like who have the opportunity to interact with the people. But it is all about, like, I feel like interact within yourself every day within yourself. Then you'll be having
That is a
more and more.
reflection.
Like,
Yep.
that's exactly like you don't have to have one person to be interacted with, or like observe your surroundings, the nature, the sun, who every day, whether you do it or not, he has, without any looking for any gratitude, he comes every day. So that is where you have to see that, like, understand the ones which you're not expecting anything.
Right.
So you don't have to have a person
Very
to
true.
be interacted.
Sairam, when you said journal, even when something goes opposite to what you expect, that also it's better to journal it. That way we can go back and reflect on, because that is where we usually don't forget to be thankful. See, when everything goes as per our expectations, then we are always thanking. We say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll say 1,000 times thank you. But when something goes opposite, we think we tend to blame ourselves. Most of the times we tend to blame ourselves or blame somebody, depending upon the situation. We say, oh my God, why did I do this? Or why didn't I say this? Or why did I say this?
Correct.
All that thing, we tend to blame ourselves. 99% we do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we blame the others. Oh, they did this, they did this.
Yes.
But we never attribute to the Lord or the higher power or divinity
Yeah.
as to what happened.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we need to thank, because thank for, as you rightly said, for giving a lesson. Maybe there is a lesson that we have to go through
Correct.
and learn from it so that we don't repeat that. Or it is, yeah.
I always look for that. What is in that? Why it is happening? There must be something here. Nothing is random in our life. Whatever is happening,
Correct.
nothing is not. No people coming across your life. That's not also not random. So if we can have that, just because you are a devotee of certain God or guru doesn't mean you won't have problems. We will. And at the same time, we have to be very strong in our faith and accept what is coming. We do the needful, whatever it is, legally, whatever. But then leave it to him. It works out. Whichever way it works out, it is good for you. There is something for you to learn. That is what I'm going by,
Sairam. Thank you. So, oh,
Want to compliment with what Venkat said about thanking every things around you, because they are the source of everything, and that is why you are alive. I was looking at the BBC news, and I came across an incident in Scotland where there was only one tree in the countryside, and people used to come, green meadows, people used to come and stay there under the tree for some time, and they used to feel very happy. One day, somebody cut the tree. A single tree was cut down. And it was so sorrowful experience for all of who were visiting early. They were crying, just like that tree was a part of their family. So these little small things really matter, because they are the source of oxygen, for example. If you cut the trees, you're gone, basically. The sun, vitamin D, and so on and so forth. I mean, everything around you is divine. Just want to compliment them.
okay, Sairam. Let us.
One last thing, like
Yes.
as Umaji said, like see, the laws and all these things is like it is all the frameworks what we have built it. So these frameworks can be matured or like can be improvised at any point of time. Even this law, what has been there. So I don't think so. We have any handle in that, or like we have any way to control that thing. So rather than saying that, okay, when some law hitting that, okay, when during that particular time, even if you pray God or something like this, also what has been written in the black and white might be followed by the people. So I feel like it is beyond that thing. Like in a long run, like that could have been corrected, or like this incident would have made a chance to amendment that law to a different way. So this could be an improvisation to the law also. That could be the reason for that. Could be also we can think about that. But some of the things which we need to think about is like what is that around us which is really helping us for us to live.
Okay, Sairam. Today we will move along to the next chapter, And we'll be listening to 2 chapters because I thought they all go hand in hand. It's all about Krishna avatar. So we'll start the chapters and then we will see how we go with it. And we'll do a little discussion at the end, and we can continue next week as well. Saira.
Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 34, Krishna Avatar. Hearing this prayer, Setsuka said, O king, truly the Leelas of Krishna are, as you said, amazing and wondrous, but yet sweet and meaningful. They are not tainted by the desire to show off the divine nature. The common man is drawn by external pomp and apparent motives, so he judges the Leelas as common and even low. The inner meaning and purpose are not easily patent to all, but the Lord can never engage himself in purposeless and paltry activities. His advent is for the upliftment of the world from the morass of wickedness and unrighteousness, for fulfilling the needs of those devoted to him, for the re-establishment of right and morality, and for the revival of the Vedas. He has to take into account the merit acquired by each in previous lives and shower his grace accordingly. He makes himself available through the granting of boons. His Leelas or divine activities are so shaped that they suit the time, the person, the aspiration and the compassion which cause each shower of grace. Therefore, who can comprehend correctly these Leelas? The amazing Leelas of Hari are known to Hari alone, it is said. He can be interpreted by him alone, not by another. One observation, however, can be made with confidence. The manifest incarnations of God will not engage themselves in the least for their own sake or for the sake of fulfilling any personal likes. All activity is for the good of the world, though without them the world cannot exist and survive. They move and act as if the world has nothing to do with them. In every word and deed of theirs, one can observe the underlying current of total renunciation. For them who hold the worlds in the palm of their hands, what can the world give or withhold? They can shape it as they like. Fools, persons without faith, persons who deny God, persons caught in the coils of ignorance, those who do not learn anything, these may see the Leelas of God as self-centered and even motivated by delusion, like the actions of ordinary mortals. But genuine bhaktas will cherish them as significant and sustaining examples of grace. How can tat, that, be grasped by those who are engrossed in tvam, this, the individual being? O king, the actions of Rama, emperor of Kosala, and Krishna are, you should remember, wide apart. When the wicked and cruel enemies of righteousness were about to overwhelm the good, Krishna and Balarama, the two brothers, were born, one black and the other white, and by their acts that transcended the comprehension of man, astounded the world. The Leelas of Krishna are beyond the comprehension of anyone, however scholarly and wise. His movement, his walk, his talk, his smile, his laughter, his gesture, his speech, his song, each is charming with a unique artistry. Wherever he went, he created some strange mischief or other. Like a typhoon sweeping over the land, he left behind in every home that he visited a series of upheavals, quarrels, wailings and tears. There was no need to invite him ceremoniously into any house. He would enter uninvited, unannounced. Every house belonged to him. He would get in and take whatever he desired from wherever it was hidden and eat to his heart's content. He was everyone's dearest kinsman, fastest comrade. He could take anything from any house with impunity, but he was not content with that. He took away much more than his own need, for he gave away large quantities to his companions too. And they were quite a large number. The owners might bewail the loss and condemn the theft, but he did not care. He gave the things away as if they were his own. No one could hinder his sport. No one could go against his word. If any dared to oppose or threaten, the sufferings that will be heaped on his head were indescribable. But the truth must be told. The smallest act of his was saturated with supreme sweetness. Even the sufferings he inflicted on those he wanted to punish were sweet. So, no one felt the least anger towards him. Instead, they yearned to meet him more often, to play with him longer, to talk with him and stay with him as much as possible. Whatever his pranks and practical jokes, the victims never felt annoyed at him. The reason was the prema, the undercurrent of love that motivated all his words and acts. The cowherd maids rushed towards him with sticks to beat him off, but when they neared him and cast their looks at him, their hearts were filled with prema, and they came away with a prayer on their tongues. Whatever he did appeared as divine sport, Leela, and the manner of his speech, it was so pleasing and so clever. It was mostly intended to mislead. He put sand into his mouth before all his companions, but when his mother took him to task for it, he denied it and put his tongue to prove his denial. He rendered true statements false and false statements true. He went daily to Vrishabhendrapura, the village where Radha lived. Many people saw him on the road while going and returning, but yet when his mother accosted him and challenged him, saying, "Why are you trekking every day such long distances? Have you no comrades here in this place itself to play with?" He replied, "Mother, I do not know that road at all." He caused confusion in every home, created factions between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law, set them one against the other, and enjoyed the fun. He was seldom stationary in one place, from dawn when he rose from bed till the hour when he went to sleep. This little bundle of mischief roamed from house to house without rest. In spite of all this, the villagers could not bear his absence even for an instant. If he did not put in his appearance any day, the milkmaids watched for his visit, peeping at the road through the windows or looking into the distance from the terrace. Such was the charm of the divine love that Krishna showered on them and the love that the people had towards him. His pranks were so heartwarming. They were so inspiring and meaningful. The blue boy was master of subterfuge and diplomacy. He saw through every artifice, however cleverly camouflaged. When the ogress, Putana, approached him as mother to feed him at her breast, he pretended to be taken in by that stratagem. He sucked her life out and felled her to the ground. Many an asura, demon, came near him to destroy him, some assuming the familiar forms of the cowherds and milkmaids of the village. But he discovered their identity and dispatched them to the city of death. One asura took the form of a calf and moved along the cows and cows which Krishna was standing, awaiting for an opportunity to kill him. But the 3-year-old divine infant saw through the device. He caught him by the tail, raised him, swung him around and beat him on the ground, so that he breathed his last. Such strength and skill were quite out of proportion with that infant form, but he demonstrated his divinity in a million ways in order to convert and convince men. He taught everyone, whether they were elders, women, or crooks, or his own kinsmen and well-wishers. He advised them in good ways. He entangled some of them in dilemmas. His maternal uncle Kamsa was drunk with imperial power and heroic audacity. He caught him by the tuft of hair, pulled him down from the throne, fisted him to death, and dragged the body right down to the bank of the river Yamuna. The entire population of the city of Mathura saw in every act of his a wondrous mixture of the amazing, the astounding, the sweet, the charming, the enticing, the beautiful and the simple. While yet an infant, he entered the lives of Putana, Tranavarta and Sakatasura. He was then a tiny thief in search of butter in every home. When his mother tied him to a wooden mortar, he dragged it behind him, and with it he pulled down 2 giant trees growing together. He curbed the conceit and fury of the serpent Kalinga, which poisoned the waters of the Yamuna and made them disastrous for men and cattle. When his mother attempted to tie him up with a rope around his waist, he revealed to her his universal form, the form in which the entire universe was found to be a part of him. The parents and the people of Gokula were wonderstruck at the remarkable experience of his divinity. Through his yawn, he showed them the macrocosm and the microcosm, both. He showed his dear cowherd comrades his paradise, which knew no grief or loss, the Vaikunta. He persuaded Nanda to stop the usual puja for Indra and to worship to the Govardhana hill instead. When the rain god Indra, stung by this neglect, poured terrible rains on the village, Krishna held aloft on his little finger the Govardhana hill, inviting the entire village to take shelter under it. He raised the cowherd boys and maids into ecstatic moods by means of his playful pranks and his melodious music on the flute. To interpret this as low and sensual is a sign of foolishness. When Krishna danced in the moonlight with the maids, each maid having a concrete Krishna by her side, it is interpreted by low-minded persons as laxity of morals and as a vulgar pastime. There is no basis for such inference at all. Krishna was only 5 or 6 years old when these miraculous incidents took place. How then can the experience be condemned as lascivious? The Lord has no attributes or qualities. The Rasa Krida, as this incident is called, is but a means of rendering the gopis worthy of grace, an example of devotion and the fruit of devotion, namely, dedication. The Lord was showering on them the grace that they had earned by their meritorious acts. It was a boon, a blessing. When that supreme divine manifestation is taken to be merely human, lasciviousness and thievishness may be attributed. But consider which human can achieve such an iota of what he did. He saved the world from the harassment of such monstrous evildoers as Pralamba, Denuka, Kesi, Arishta, Mustika, Kamsa, Naraka, Paundraka, Dvivida, Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Kamboja, Kuru, Matsya and many more such powerful heroes. Can it be said that all this is within the capacity of a mere man? In this unique avatar, every act is an amazing miracle. Even when angry, he could not but evince his overflowing prema, love. In love, his compassion flowed unhindered. Through his darshan, sparshan and sambhashan, seeing, touch and conversation, one could earn liberation. He granted immortality to those who reminded themselves of his name. The cowherds among whom he lived and moved tasted the nectar of ecstasy whenever they witnessed his deeds or remembered them. O King, the Bhagavata is not merely the narrative of the Lord's story in the background of Mathura, Vrindavan, Gokul, the banks of Yamuna, Nanda, Yashoda, Vasudeva, Devaki and others. Bhagavata includes the stories of all the incarnations of Bhagwan or the Lord. All incarnations were the manifestations of the self-same Gopala, Krishna, from Goloka or Vaikunta. The story of each is but the story of Vasudeva, emerging from him and merging in him. That divine power is the sustaining factor for all incarnations as well as all living beings. The sage's eyes closed again. He was in Samadhi, tasting the sweetness of the Krishna incarnation. There was a beautiful smile beaming on his lips. Parikshit was astounded at the sight of the waves of joy that overpowered the great sage whenever he allowed his mind to dwell on the divine carrier of Krishna. He too yearned with enthusiastic impatience to listen to those enrapturing incidents and activities of the Lord. When Sukha resumed, Parikshit too lost all consciousness of his surroundings. He was so struck with wonder that he could not believe that some of the incidents could have ever happened. This gave him immense pain and caused unbearable agony at the thought of his own inconstancy. So, he placed this problem before the sage and won peace of mind after hearing his explanation and elaboration. While proceeding thus on one occasion, the king developed serious doubts about the bhakti, devotion of the gopis. He argued within himself and sought remedial assurances through his own understanding and faith. But the doubts would not vanish, nor had he the courage to ask the sage who might consider them as too childish. So he was suffering and smothering the suffering. This became evident to the sage, and so he asked the king with a smile, "It is evident that some insane idea is distracting you. In this crisis, it is not beneficial to suffer from repressed emotions. If some doubt is simmering in you, or if a thirst to know about something is hurting you, do not hesitate to ask me. I shall resolve the doubt. I shall quench the thirst and ensure joy and contentment of mind." When the sage encouraged the king in this manner, the king spoke, "Master, you know the past, the present, and the future. You have the vision and capacity to cure me of the doubt that is pestering me. Therefore, please do not misunderstand me. Hear me and resolve my doubt. Cure me of the anguish I have on account of it. Restore the peace of mind I had before it entered my heart." The king fell at the sage's feet and continued, "Master, I have heard much in various versions of the sport and pranks of the Rasa Krida of Krishna with the cowherd maids, the gopis of Vrindavan. They appear to be sensual pastimes of ordinary mortals. Are they not disapproved by the world? These incidents at Vrindavan on the Yamuna banks, where such loose, sensual, lascivious play was enacted, besmirched the divine nature of Krishna. Krishna, I am afraid. It is said that ultimate realize or moksha can be attained only by those who transcend the gunas or qualities. These gopis were afflicted with qualities and the desires born out of them, mostly sensual and the objective. But when it is said that gopis too were able to attain moksha, it causes amazement. Indeed, it appears ridiculous. If, however, these immoral activities have some inner significance which justifies their being accepted as praiseworthy, please enlighten me." When Parikshit prayed thus, Sukha had a hearty laugh. He said, "O king, do not think that you are afflicted by a doubt. It is much worse. For those who have realized that Krishna is the Lord himself will not entertain such doubts. This is the final period of the Dwapara age. The Kali age is beginning soon. It is the Kali spirit, the spirit of the age of wickedness that has entered into you, that has prompted you to lodge such ideas in your mind. Or else you have unshaken faith that Krishna is the sovereign supreme Lord. Every incident in his career shines in your heart with divine brilliance. The moment you recollect his name, you are overcome by joy, and your thoughts merge in him. So these doubts cannot arise in such as you. You are defiling your personality by them. Again, consider what type of person I am. You know that there is no place in my heart for activities born out of gunas, or the impulses created out of those qualities. Just consider How such a one as I is overpowered with supreme joy when I contemplate the divine sport of Krishna with the gopis? Consider how I praise the good fortune of the gopis who got that precious companionship. Can they be ordinary sensual sport? Or are they the pure and genuine exuberance of divine intoxication? Think a while. Sensual exaltation and divine exhilaration might appear the same in their external manifestations to the untrained eye. But when the senses are transcended, when the individual and the universal have merged into one thought and consciousness, when all awareness of the body has been negated, to interpret these activities as objective and sensual is sheer stupidity, to say the least. A knife in the hands of a murderer is fraught with danger to all. A knife in the hands of a surgeon confers freedom from pain, though in both cases there is hand that holds the knife. So too, the acts of those whose self is centered in the body are to be condemned. Those of people whose self is centered in the Atma or inner reality are highly beneficent and praiseworthy. It all looked so peculiar, so extraordinary. Very often it resembled lawlessness and sheer mischief. While walking in the eastern direction, his attention was fixed in the western direction. He conveyed through his eyes. The flash of his eyes spoke out his plans and intentions. He did not care for human limitations and disciplines. He did not recognize the distinction between new and old acquaintances. He treated both alike. He did not respect kinship or yield to the demands of convention. Next, the mystery of the Krishna incarnation. That embodiment of sweetness is most captivating. Exquisite charm, unrivaled sweetness, incomparable love. The Krishna form was the concretization of all these. That form was the treasure house of bliss. It was the ocean of virtue. Oh, what innocence! What superhuman excellence! The mere sight of him is enough. Listening to his words is enough. Merely touching him is enough. One's life will find its goal. All rituals, all sacrifices, all scriptural ceremonies have as their goal only this. This sight, this listening, this touch. The gain that accrues from the rites are nothing when compared to the gain from the sight and the touch and the listening to his voice. No, they are nothing at all. What immeasurable sweetness! Contemplating on that form, recollecting the charm and the loveliness, the sage started shedding profuse tears of joy. He was so full of inward bliss that he stopped his narration and lost all consciousness of himself and his listeners. The ascetics around him and the king himself were overcome with wonder at the rare sight of the sage's samadhi. The illumination on his face had an overpowering impact on all. They sat like statues, afraid to disturb the sage, immersed in their own amazement and joy. After some time, Sukha opened his eyes and exclaimed, "Oh, how fortunate were the Gopas and the Gopis, the herdsmen and maids who lived then! How their bodies must have shone with the divine joy they experienced when they moved in his company, played with him, talked with him, sang with him, and shared supreme ananda with him. Gods envied their luck, for it was a chance they could not secure. Those simple, illiterate folk could get the singular good fortune as a consequence of the merit acquired by them in many previous lives. Those Gopas and Gopis were not just common men and women. No, at first sight they struck one as simple, unlearned folk, that was all. But they had with them a vast treasure of revealed wisdom, which only a few could appreciate and understand. Or else, how could they secure the bliss of the Lord's touch, which even Rukmini and Satyabhama could not win so easily. The Gopas and the Gopis can be said to be more fortunate than those queens. Their good fortune was the fruit of the good deeds done by them during not one, but 3 previous lives.
So that was one chapter, and I think we'll go on to the next because I think this talks about devotion of the Gopas and the Gopis, and I think once we do this, then we can continue the discussion with both the chapters. So just bear with me.
Bhagavatha Vahini, Chapter 35. Gopala, Gopas and Gopis. Setsuka was keen on King Parikshit's seeing the divine sports of the Lord in their proper perspective. He said, Maharaj Parikshit, who can describe the supreme supra-world charm of Krishna, whose lovely form was very embodiment of sweetness? How can anyone describe it in words? You want me to relate to you stories of Krishna, but they belong to a realm beyond the reach of human vocabulary. God has incarnated often and demonstrated during each advent many supra-worldly miracles, but in this Krishna incarnation, he exhibited a unique attraction. Did he but smile once, revealing the pearly line of teeth? Those who had the spring of love in their hearts, those who had the spell of devotion in their hearts, and even those who had mastered their senses and overcome their inner reactions, felt an upsurge of emotion rising in them, an upsurge of affectionate adoration. Did he but touch them softly with his tender hand? They lost all consciousness of their bodies. They were so immersed in bliss that thenceforth they lived in tune with him. Now and then he used to make fun, relate humorous tales. On those occasions, the listeners felt that there were few more fortunate than they, few superior to them in the entire world. The Gopas and Gopis, the men and women of Vraja, might be engaged in their daily avocations. Let them but see Krishna once, while so engaged. They stood entranced by his loveliness, rooted in the sport like images carved in stone. The women of Vraja had surrendered their minds, their very breath to Krishna, whom they recognized as love and compassion personified. No scholar, however high his attainments, can find language adequate to describe their nature and experience. In fact, language has to be dumb. It can only fail. The devotion and dedication of the Gopas and Gopis, filled with elevated emotions, knew no limits and bounds. No less a person than Uddhava exclaimed on seeing them, Alas! I have laid waste all these years of my life, isn't it? Having been in the cool comforting presence of Krishna Chandra so long, so near him in fact, I have not gained access into his love and his glory. My heart is not yet illumined by even a fraction of the devotion and love that these gopis have for the Lord. Verily, if one has to take birth, he must be born as a Gopa or Gopi. Why be born otherwise and live a life without meaning, without significance? If I have no luck to be born as a Gopi or Gopa, let me become a green floral bower in Vrindavan, or a jasmine creeper there. Or, if I do not merit that fortune, let me at least grow as a blade of grass on the lawns frequented by the Gopas, Gopis and Krishna. Uddhava lamented thus. He yearned in devoted anguish. His heart was filled with yearning. In fact, he was saved by that very anguish. To state that this relationship between Krishna and the Gopis was low and lascivious is therefore only to reveal that the person is too easily led into wrong conclusions. Such statements are not worth attention. Maharaj, none but the pure in heart can understand the sport of Krishna. Parikshit was very happy when he heard this. He asked the sage with a smile on his lips, Master, when did Uddhava proceed to Vrindavan? Why did he go there? What was the reason that prompted him to leave Krishna's presence and go? Please describe the incident to me. O king, Uddhava can never be away from Krishna even for a moment. He can never leave the presence. But Krishna himself sent him to Vrindavan in order to communicate his message to the gopis, so he had no options. He had to go. The separation became inevitable, but Krishna gave him just one day to fulfill his mission. He directed that he should not stay there longer than a day. In spite of this, that one day of separation seemed an age for Uddhava when he proceeded to Vrindavan. However, on reaching Vrindavan, Uddhava was sorry that the hours were flying fast and that he had to leave the place so soon. Alas, that I have to go there, that I have to go away from these people so quickly. How happy would I be if all my life was spent in their company. I have unfortunately not acquired that merit. These were the sad thoughts that worried Uddhava. Did you note, Maharaj, that there is really no difference between the Lord and the Bhakta? Uddhava felt more anguish when he had to leave the presence of the gopis than when he had to leave the presence of Krishna himself. His ananda in both places was the same. There is really no distinction between gopi and the Gopala, the Bhakta and Bhagavan. The hearts of the gopis had got transformed into altars where Krishna was installed. Their inner cravings were satiated by drinking the nectar of Krishna Sara. Uddhava was able to realize their agony at the separation from Krishna, the sincerity of their affectionate attachment to him, their eagerness to hear about him, their anxiety about him, and their earnestness to hear and obey his message. The Gopas and Gopis never for a moment allowed their attention to wander away from stories of Krishna, from descriptions of the sport of Krishna, and from the narratives of his activities and achievements. The splendor of the sweetness of Krishna cast such powerful influence on Vraja that the living appeared lifeless and the lifeless appeared living. Uddhava saw with his own eyes the boulders of Govardhanagiri melt in tears of joy. He saw also the gopis transfixed like stone images when their hearts were filled with divine joy. He took these experiences of his as wonderful and illuminating. While describing these characteristics of the devotion of the gopis, the sage Sukha was so overcome with joy that teardrops fell from his eyelids and he lost awareness of all external things and entered samadhi so often that the holy men and rishis who were listening to him and watching him were filled with ecstasy and an irrepressible yearning to visualize the Krishna Chandra who thrilled Sukha so deeply. Meanwhile, Sukha opened his eyes. He said, Maharaj, how lucky was this Uddhava! While showing him the places where they sported with Krishna, the gopis took him to Govardhanagiri also. When he saw the place, the wonder of Uddhava increased even more, for he could see on the rocks and the hard ground the footprints of Krishna, the gopis and the gopas, as clear when they walked along in that area. When they neared the Govardhanagiri, the gopis felt the agony of separation from Krishna so poignantly that they broke into sobs. They were aware of him only. They merged in thoughts of him only. When all of them called out in one voice, Krishna, the trees that stood around thrilled into exhilarating horrification. They swayed their arms and began to mourn in sadness. Uddhava observed with his own eyes how separation from Krishna had affected and afflicted not only the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan, but even its hills and trees. Maharaj, what shall I say more? Uddhava saw scenes that transcend belief. He was overwhelmed with amazement. He was also humbled. At this, the king was eager to know further. He said, Master, how did that happen? If there is no objection, please enlighten me on that point also. When he prayed thus, Sukha answered, Raja, the awareness of the gopis had become one with the consciousness of Krishna. So they noticed nothing else, none else. Every stone, every tree they saw as Krishna. They held on to it, calling out, Krishna, Krishna. That made the stones and the trees feel the agony of separation from Krishna, and they too melted in the heat of that grief, so that teardrops fell from the points of the leaves. The stones softened with the tears they exuded. See how amazing these scenes must have been. The axiom, all is alive, sarvam sajivam, was proved true in this manner to him. The stones and trees of Vrindavan demonstrated to Uddhava that there is nothing that is devoid of consciousness and life. Those who are unable to grasp the glory of the gopis, the bhakti that melted stone and drew sobs of grief from the trees, have no right to judge and pronounce a verdict. If they do, they only reveal that their intelligence is more inert than rocks and boulders. Inert minds can never grasp the splendors of the Krishna Chandra, who is the sovereign of the universe, who captivates the universe by his beauty and power. Only the clearest and the purest intelligence can grasp it. Similarly, Uddhava noticed at Vrindavan that evening a novel feature. As Brahmins and other twice-born persons engage at sunset in the worship of fire through ceremonial ritual, the gopis lit the hearths in their homes, bringing live flames from neighboring houses in shells or plates of clay. But Uddhava noticed that the first house to light the lamp and hearth was house of Nanda, the house where Krishna grew and played. He saw that as soon as the light shone in Nanda's house, the gopis went to that place, one after the other, with lamps in their hands, to have them lit auspiciously therefrom. They carried the lamps thus lit to their own homes. Uddhava sat on the step of the village hall and watched the lamps go by. Meanwhile, one gopi took too long a time to light her lamp at the house of Krishna. The others who came behind her got impatient. They had no chance to have their lamps lit. Yashoda, who was in the inner apartments, came out and seeing her, cried out, "Oh, what calamity is this?" and tried to awaken her with a pat on the back. But she did not open her eyes. Those around her dragged her gently away from the lamp and laid her down so that she may rest a while. Her fingers had got badly burnt and charred. With great effort, she was brought back into consciousness. On inquiry, she revealed that she saw Krishna in the flame of the lamp, and in that joyful experience she did not know that her fingers were in the flame and were being burnt. She felt no pain at all. Uddhava was astounded at this incident, which was another wonderful instance of the devotion of the gopis.
Okay, Sairam, I think we are at the end of the session today, but we will continue our discussion on chapters 34 and 35 in upcoming session. This is the life application. We are looking to practice breath. Inhaling, I walk the path of dharma. Exhaling, I surrender all outcomes. So with that, let's end with Om and Three Shantis. Thank you for being here today. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, Saira.